perspectives, different views, one voice.
Welcome to the Perspective podcast. My name is Cam. I'm joined in the studio today with
Ali,
Chris,
Kojo,
Sarah.
And we're all going to be discussing the topic of colorism.
Colorism, a term believed to be first coined in 1982 by Pulitzer Prize winner Alice Walker, which she defined to be prejudicial or preferential treatment of same-colour people based solely on their colour.
So if you unpack it, basically in simple terms, it just means people within the same race discriminating against each other based on, I guess, the shade of their colours.
Yeah.
But this has been happening in history, though.
Yeah, of course.
It's just the media is portraying it differently.
But we want to try and go back. I guess
I think when you're looking at colorism, I think obviously, as you said, historically, it's like, where does that come from? For my understanding of it, colorism, it became more prominent in the black community because people of fair skin color were normally like house niggas, if you want to use that term. Yeah, so they were more house niggas, so serving white people in the house, even getting more better food than their field workers who were more of a darker skin. And I guess the lighter skinned people, it became like that because a lot of their masters, or if you want to call about the white people in that house, they raped black women. And obviously a lot of the fair skinned people that were in the house, or light skinned people or mixed race people, were more of like their children, if you want to say it like that. But that's how it became like that. But I think it was more of something to do. It's almost like divide and conquer. So even within your community, if we are able to separate you guys, then even within that community, you're able to argue or talk about things that are not so important than what you're going through. Yeah. So as time went on, it became that there's a rift between the light-skinned people in the plantation and the dark-skinned people, because the dark-skinned people might say that you don't belong to us because you get this preferential treatment. And a lot of the times I saw they were given a bit more power than the darker-skinned people. So it's like, even though you're black, you're not really black because you're not going through what we are going through.
I guess you're right. I guess it probably does date back as far as slavery, and I guess as time has gone on, it's just sort of, it's filtered through each generation as it's continued. But I think as time has gone on, with as Ali pointed out, with the media, I guess it's been turned into something much, much bigger now, especially in the present day.
I think
it has, because it's created a perception.
Yes, okay. When we say media, I guess that's mass messages being shown to us, right? And I guess a lot of the times, if we're even talking about representation, I know a lot of black women do not accept the black women that are put to represent them when it comes to hair and how your hair texture is meant to be and how you're meant to wear your hair. The reason why I bring this forward is because when we talk about the media and representation, when they want to have like a poster black person, they'll normally go down someone that's with a lighter tone. And when you read about media and representation, they feel like someone with a lighter tone is more acceptable to the white audience, because it's like shade of color is a representation of how close you are. So I could understand a bit more of a light, or I'm able to accept someone of a lighter skin complexion than a darker skin complexion. So, of course, this thing starting from slavery has then gone into mass media and is being played out as we see it now. Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's a case whereby the media's hyping it up. I feel like it's shining a light on something that doesn't get discussed. These are things that have constantly happened. The only difference is now you're seeing it happen. People are telling you about their experiences of it happening. And if that's a bad thing, then I don't know. I'm anti-media because I do believe they like to sensationalize and create outrage. Because obviously once you do something, especially against a person of colour, there's always outrage. There's always people that are going to talk up about it and have an opinion against it. But then in terms of colorism, it's something that's very real, very from slavery days. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if from that to now and nothing's changed, clearly there's a problem. And if we're going to continue to ignore it, it's never going to change.
Sometimes when you know the origins of it, then it's not that you shouldn't point it out. It's like, you know where it's coming from. Then it's like, what are we doing about it, right? It's the key thing I was saying. And it's funny because even experiences growing up in secondary school. Any dead light-skinned miswage girl, yeah, any dead girl, but there's so much hype being made about this girl. Because it's almost like a lot of these things, as you've explained, Sarah, is being played out in the media, but subliminally we are unconsciously taking it in, and then we play it out. So it's like some people have a preference for lighter-skinned women without knowing why they have a preference for that, right? It's like, where is this coming from? How come all of a sudden a lighter-skinned person means to you more attractive than a darker-skinned person?
Because that's what society has done.
Yes, I agree, but it's like people are not asking themselves those questions.
But you know what it is, though? I used to think that as well, that it's just society has done that, but you got to be careful with, because me, obviously, I'm dark-skinned, but imagine being light-skinned and you're actually that attractive, and then people saying the reason that people are attracted to you, well, black people are attracted to you, is because they've been basically intrinsically like trained to just like you because you're light skinned. Do you see what I mean? Like that. Sometimes some people just like you just because you're you. Do you see what I mean? Naturally. So imagine like a kid now who's just, they could just like that light skinned person because they haven't been trained in the media yet. Do you see what I mean? To think all of that.
I don't know.
I agree with you.
Not enough. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes you could just like a person because you just think they're sexy. Like, do you see what I'm saying?
Look, attraction is one thing, isn't it? So someone could be good looking. It doesn't matter race or whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
That's attraction, right? But in regards to kids and pointing to kids, there's been experiments. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. Where I think it's either 3-year-olds when they're giving them their black doll and the white doll, and they ask them, which one is clean, which one is dirty, and most of their answers for anything good or anything positive was for that white doll. So when we're talking about kids and kids having a preference, don't think that some of these kids are soaking in as much information as we are, even more.
But where are they getting that from?
Of course, we've spoken about media, right?
No. They will have a preference. No, I get that part because I know about that doll experiment as well. What I'm saying is, if a boy who was of a certain age, who was like under 10, saw a light-skinned girl, and she was a pretty light-skinned girl, under 10 or whatever, and he just said, yeah, I like her, whatever. I'm sure he's not thinking, I like her because I only like lighties.
No.
No,
but
he's been
programmed.
But wait. But that same boy could see a white girl and be like, I like her too. Or see a dark-skinned black girl and say, I like her. This is what I'm saying. So I'm saying, you got to be careful with the light-skinned thing. Do you see what I'm saying? Because like with some light-skinned people, it could just be like, some people just like them just because they like that person. Obviously, I do get that side of the whole, people have been programmed to like a lighter shade of colour or whatever. But there is times where it's just natural attraction. Because they like the tone. Do you get what I'm saying? Just like some people might like dark skin. Do you get what I'm saying? I've noticed people don't really tend to have that same type of conversation when it's like, when people go, I just love melanin skin.
Because it's so rare, it's like...
No, not nowadays.
That's what I'm saying, nowadays.
No, but now, when people... I hear that a lot now, though. I hear...
told that there was...
But if you hear black people say, I love melanin skin, it's cool. But then when you hear white people say, I love melanin skin, eyebrows raised. Because do you see... But you get what I'm trying to say, though? It's like, wait, hold on. But then if you hear someone go, I just love light-skinned girls, that's when it's like, huh?
But
do you know? But you get what I'm saying? When the shoe's in the other foot, it's like, okay then.
Yeah, but
so the color, like, do you get what I'm just playing devil's advocate to that point.
I get your point.
That's me being a dark person.
This is going way back. We're forgetting. We're talking about now, which is, yes, this is a valid point. This is the present right now. But going back in history, it has been reflected so much, especially the Egyptian. You have the gods and the goddess, which are light skin. They literally, that's where all it came into. They deliberately paint themselves in a different texture, deliberately make sure they have a different texture of their hair, which is where the wig came from, the wig till now. So you have the slavery from 400 years back then. I mean, those times, they will literally, the darker they are, they're the one that's going to work harder. It's just been like that. It's been repetition. And now we're getting all of this brainwash, obviously, is what Coach has mentioned also with the slavery of 400 years. So it's harder to able to get over, because I'm reading a recent article right now. It says the root of colorism or skin tone discrimination. And there's a rhymes capture. If you're black, stay back. If you're brown, stick around. If you're yellow, you are mellow. If you're white, you are all right. Now, where's that coming from? Do you understand? That's a question that we always seem to raise. Why is it when you're lighter, or, for example, there's in this world yet, you got India. You got the north side of India, which are darker. They can't even come down to the south. And that is another side of the colorism. And then you got the Caribbean are doing, and then you got the African and the Caribbean are doing the bleaching, which they're thinking is okay. And then you've got the Latin, Latin and China, they have to go white. The whiter you are, the better you are.
Yes. So obviously all this is coming from white supremacy, right? So the whole idea is that the closer that you are to white, the better. Because being white in the whole conceptual thing of how we see white as a skin tone, even though white is not a skin tone, just like black is not a skin tone. No. Because like the t-shirt you're saying is black, you're black, but it's not the same skin tone. So the whole idea of white is white supremacy, right? So when you're talking about Asia, the whole bleaching thing is not just an African or Caribbean problem. No. It's an Asian problem as well. Yeah. And it's big in Asia, where when you're looking at the market, you're looking at the percentage of stake that these companies hold in that market is big. And for instance, when you look at some of the advertisement, like for instance, I've got a friend that went to India, to me, another colleague that went back there for work reasons. And obviously she's there on holiday, so she's moving around freely. And at a certain point, the guy was like, oh no, we need to stay in the shade. And she's like, what are you talking about? We need to stay in the shade. I came here to get a tan. But the whole idea is that when you live in the community, I think sometimes for us, because in this country, you could say it happens, but it's not as prominent as other countries. I'm not saying it doesn't exist within our communities or in these countries, but in other countries, it's very prominent. Like in India, it's clearly shown that the lighter you are, the higher position you are in whatever industry. Yes. Because the whole idea, even when we went to Thailand, I'm not sure if you guys experienced it, sir, but when we went to Thailand, we saw people that were working in the field, or it looked like they were working outside, and they were fully covered up with a hat. Because there's also a stigma attached to that when we see you that you're dark skinned, you must be working on the fields, you must be in the sun all the time. We sit in air condition like we are. So there's almost like a social class thing playing out as well in these communities. But it's very, 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 very prominent in Asia. It's not just a problem for Africa or the Caribbean. It's a big problem in Asia, where even the Chinese or the Japanese, they feel like they're closer to white, as in pale you are, the better.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, with Africa, that's the difference. It's not so much a social class thing. I think they just created that problem with the sense of they just wanted to be closer to white people, or they just felt like looking lighter was better, or just being closer to white people. Like you said, the Asian community, obviously, that's what makes it a bigger issue, I think, in the sense of, I think there's even been that killings in the past and that, because of like what you said, you can't go to certain areas and all of that. It's just crazy, the whole colorism thing with just certain countries and that. Everyone's got their individual culture and battles, I think, with colorism. Because in England, I think with us before, we just used to see it as banter. You see what I mean?
Nah,
I think a lot of people did.
You could say it's banter, but that banter is loaded. I'm not disputing that we never used to see it as banter or people, but look, it runs deeper. When you are black or brown and you're saying to someone you black shit or you whatever, those type of connotations mean something. The question is, where did that come from? So you could say it's banter, oh, we're laughing around, we didn't understand the hurt, because sometimes you're not conscious of what you're saying. You're just saying it out there because it's like something that everyone's been saying. But when you actually check yourself to say, why would you call someone a black shit? What does that actually mean? What do you mean by that when someone says that? Or when we used to reference people like that, what were we trying to really say?
When I'm saying that, I'm saying it as teenagers in school and that. I'm not saying it as it is actually banter. I'm saying it as that. You see, when you're saying what you just said, you're saying that from a perspective of a dark-skinned man. Do you see what I mean? So it would be loaded to you. That's what I'm saying. I reciprocate that, had that as well. So I know what I'm hearing is that, yeah, why would you say that? We can rationalize that because it's that you're only
I've said that to people in the past. So I just have to own up to it.
No.
I've said that to people in the past. And no.
Obviously,
This is the stuff, like, I don't want to have a conversation where we're acting as if what my problem is that people are behaving a certain way and they do not understand where that's coming from. So even if this is being played out in primary school, in secondary school, it's because these kids do not fully understand where this is coming from. But they are saying certain stuff that they are only saying because of information that they're subliminally feeding.
I think after a certain age, they're fully conscious of it. I think so. Yeah, it's ignorant. Yeah. That's why the word ignorance comes into play. Do you see what I mean? Because ignorance is, for me, is when you get past a certain age, you know better, but you choose not to do better.
Yeah.
That's it. Do you see what I mean? Because we all educate past a certain level. Do you see what I mean? That whether it be streetwise or educational-wise, do you see what I mean? So you would know that, okay, this whole colorism thing is that, why would you just say certain terms? That's just wrong. Do you see what? Past a certain age, you got to remember, not when you're younger, past a certain age. But I've seen grown people still talk like they're still 15 and that. So, do you see what I'm saying? So to me, that tells me is that, no, you're just ignorant and you fully lack that whole conversation, that you like that. That's part of your lifestyle. Do you see what I mean? So your whole lifestyle is ignorant with it. Yeah. Me, I just don't even engage and entertain certain conversations. Do you see what I'm saying? Especially with people of a certain age, when I just know that there's a certain type of ignorance. Because it's like, if I'm seeing you just talking about people in a certain type of way, not just black people, just certain people, just with certain slurs or, you know what I mean, just terminology, I'm like, why are we even talking like this? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was gonna...
Like, why are we even doing this to ourselves?
Maybe it's down to, like, obviously, like, a lack of identity as well, because I guess sometimes when you're younger, I think there's power in knowing exactly where you've come from, your history as well. And knowing what it means to be black as well, you know, albeit you might be from the Caribbean or you might be from Africa, but I think if you understand your history and you appreciate it, then I guess those loaded terms that may come when you're having banter, you might think twice before saying it, because you understand. And as you said, as you get older, you go through certain experiences, even just as being as a black person. So when you're thrown into the real world, I guess you experience certain things and sort of tend to appreciate, you know, I guess, what it means to be black. And, you know.
And that's a very good point, because do you know what that is that breeds respect for your actual colour. Do you understand? Because I feel like a lot of black people don't respect, like, obviously the culture, you know, like the original culture, because there's not like a unification. Do you see what I'm saying? Because there's black people in America, black people in the Caribbean, the diasporas that have been broken up. Do you see what I mean? So it's a thing where if there was a certain type of love all around and an understanding of a certain culture, do you see what I mean? People wouldn't even be coming to you with certain talks like that. Do you see what I'm saying? Because white people don't do it to white people. Do you get what I mean? Like, they don't, because it's too petty of a conversation to be like, oh, like, they might talk about tanning and people being pale and that, but they ain't going to be going that discriminating against man, or just be like, oh, I'm not going out with you because you're pale. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't even like. Do you get what I'm saying? It just sounds you need to tan a bit more.
You could even, Do
you get what I'm saying?
You could even liken it to like the whole we'll talk about the Caribbean and African sort of divide. Because I remember when I was in school and it was just like, you know, certain Caribbean people would turn around and say, well, you know, obviously you'd explain to them, obviously, you know, you're originally from Africa. That's what it comes down to. And some of them didn't necessily want to accept that truth.
Beef you about
they didn't want to accept that.
I'm from Africa, bro.
I think even added to that, because it's a really, and that's the thing with colorism, right? Because sometimes they're closer to white, and this is what I said before. They're closer to not being white, but they're closer to maybe the white way of life. So, for instance, when I came, obviously, like, the first one is your accent stands out, isn't it? And the thing with the Caribbeans had been here longer. Some of them have been, like, born here. So the whole accent generation, English is like first language, and they speak it quite fluently. So obviously you stand out. And a lot of the difficulty I had in school was not from white people. it was from black people. And it's not just black people from the Caribbean, it was also black Africans as well that were either born here or they've been in the country for longer. And so what I'm trying to say is that we start regurgitating this. Oh, because I've been here for longer. I know I'm somehow superior to you because you're from Africa. Well, how did you get here? Did you swim? Did you come by boat? Boo-boo and all these type of things. And even just taking off the topic here, what's this guy? Is it Mostak? Mostak, right?
Yeah.
He made this song and he still used the term my boo-boo girl or whatever. And I'm like, who even still uses coins that term? For me, it's so disrespectful to even be doing that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like the problem that we have is that when we're talking about colorism, and it's like colorism could be played out as in the shade of your skin color closer to white, or it's like your whole, I don't know how to say it. It's like your environment. It's like, as I said, these people felt like they've been in the country for longer, so they are better than you in a certain way. So how that was playing out on the school playground was very difficult for someone that was coming from a different place. Plus, at that time, Caribbeans were more accepted within the black. Anyway, this is school. I can't say community, but I think within my environment at that time, being Caribbean was cool. Being African was not cool.
But I think there's a twist in this colorism, because the white, they want to tan.
Exactly.
You don't understand. They are tanning like crazy. They are going to Africa. They're going to the hottest part of the climate, making sure they are tanning. And especially it's the younger generation, because they have the money. They are just flushing. And even celebrities. And then going back to the topic, to the celebrities, that's why I was emphasizing about media. Beyonce is a perfect example. Like, when she was young, growing up, and not established the way she is now, she was probably our skin color, because I'm a bit, But now,
because you're a bit what?
What's that?
No, you said because you're a bit.
No, I'm saying I'm not dark. I'm a bit in between. So she was that kind of level of my skin color. But now it's gone to the sky with that. You can't even difference if she is black, or in that sense, or if she's light skinned. If someone doesn't know, and if someone is growing up, doesn't know anything about Beyonce, we're probably thinking Beyonce, she's light skinned.
When we say light skin, do we mean light skin or mixed race? Which one are we referring to?
Well, more mixed race, I can say. For me personally, I think she comes more appeal. As a guy, I'm just saying it in that kind of context of it. But before, when you're growing up, because obviously we all grew up. Yeah, obviously when we grew up, because roughly she's what? How old is she now? 30? 36. Yeah, so she's roughly in our generation, kind of. When we were growing up with her, like perfect example, Kelly. She's still the same skin color till now.
You know what though?
Kelly's got her own issues.
I just also feel like lighting's different. Your availability for makeup is different.
Little Kim.
Little Kim.
That's a perfect example. Yeah.
But my thing is this: Little Kim's insecurities came from she got domestically abused. She had to fix her nose a couple of times because a man had broken her nose.
Oh, I didn't know.
So, like, she has a lot of issues.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a case whereby we have this idea that celebrities should be held at a higher standard. Yeah. Like, they should be immune to the normal things that affect us. Yeah. But they are human. Yeah. Like, they just happen to be very rich humans. Yeah. So whereas, yes, granted, you probably can think, oh, I can just pay someone to care, or I can pay someone to do this. These things affect people. Yeah. And from my understanding, Beyonce used to get a lot of hate because they say, because when she was younger, she's only that there because she's light skinned. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think she's necessarily bleached her skin to the skin. I can't say it, I don't know. But I don't think she's bleached her skin to the extent whereby you no longer know what colour she is. I think she's always been a fair-skinned person.
My question is, what is bleaching? Because you have bleaching as the product where your skin peels, right? But you have cream whereby
it's bleaching.
It's bleaching.
There's things called like clear complexion,
Caroline.
all of those things. It's just special pretty names.
But wait. in the terms of bleaching,
It's bleaching.
don't you get? Wait, no. Question. No,
You
no.
lighten your skin, you're bleaching.
Wait, right now I'm a bit fair and you're a bit fair, right? But imagine I've got money. I've got money, like very.
Money don't make you.
Wait, I'm getting
I
there.
know what.
There's a reason.
And that's what I was gonna.
I'm getting
my
there.
point after.
Yeah, I'm getting there because if you have money, there's certain products you're going to use. Like you're going to stay indoor, have an aircon. Your house is full of nice stuff, and you're
Hydrated.
Yeah, so you can afford it. You eat well on all that. Does that not affect your skin?
Yeah, it will. But your skin
good
will.
examples like Charlemagne.
Yeah, no. But Charlemagne went to a dermatologist.
Yeah.
That's a different.
His skin.
Wait,
He looked
exactly.
like a whole different complexion.
Yeah.
However, he was just dirty.
Yeah.
Clearly.
That's one. And what you're talking about
Yeah.
is your skin's just gonna look healthier and
That's
glow.
it, yeah.
It's not gonna be
That's
lighter.
it's not going to be
Like,
lighter.
Yes,
you see when I
this
hear
is the thing.
when
No,
I
no,
when
you
I
know
hear
that,
man.
Yeah, you will.
if you've got like darker skin,
No, that's
darker
yeah.
skin areas on your skin, yeah, from a distance you will look darker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And once you clear away that,
Yes.
That's cool. No. That's look. What that's not bleaching. So say now you've got, let's say now, like you said, darker parts on your face, and you've got lighter parts.
Yeah.
Naturally, that's your darker parts, and that's still you. There's two different that's your complexion.
Yeah.
So if you've got one of those complexions left, that's your natural complexion anyway. You've not bleached. What I'm saying is, if you've completely gone shades lighter to any of those complexions, you are bleaching. I don't want to hear no talk of I've glowed
The
up.
conversation you're having
No.
is around social, as in a class type of thing. And this is the whole thing when I said about India, right? And it's just basically what you're saying. Because in India, the fairer you are, or in Asia, the fairer, or I can't say India, because let me just talk about what I know, innit? But from the articles that I've read about India when it comes to colorism, or in Thailand and those places there, what they do say is that the fairer you are, it means that some of the stuff, you're sitting in aircon, you have money, but then that's like a stereotype. Yeah, so it's a stereotype for any person that's fair, they must be rich, or any person that's fair, they must be wealthy.
That's the thing.
I cannot accept this notion of that because you have money, all of a sudden your skin is going to be more lighter. No, if you do say to me that your skin is going to look more radiant
That's
or
my point.
whatever, not. But you can't talk.
I
You can't
wanted to
tell me
you don't
that.
understand having a good facial, how it changes.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Because
but
that's
how your skin
no.
looks.
So you're
That
you're saying to me that the more facial you have is going to change your skin tone to this color to another skin color.
No.
If you're saying that to me,
No,
then
no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
saying that.
For instance, in the winter,
Yes.
I get mad pale, like seriously pale. You think, okay, is she sick? I like literally, I'll go to where people think I'm sick. That's how pale I get because I haven't got no sunlight. I haven't.
You need a milk. Yeah,
There you go. Jerry's.
No, but that's all it is. But it's still natural because
Yeah, but then this.
no.
So you guys are saying-
Wait.
Without having
You're
a compare like that Sammy Sosa, you can see definitely.
But-
there's
No,
a
no, no,
big-
no.
You know,
I know
you can
that.
see there's a big
Bleaching.
difference.
But-
Yeah, because of the
But
skin.
but again, what I'm trying to say is that obviously that me, I know that because on my face, I know there's two different skin tones. It's just natural because of like how the sun might hit your face, that the inside might be darker than, do you see what I'm saying? So that, all I'm saying is once you clear that down, like what Charlemagne did, that's common sense. He's just cleared it down to one even tone, do you see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that, say now if I go from my complexion to your complexion, just because...
No.
Just because I've not even better that. Just because I've got money now. So say now I become a millionaire and all of a sudden I become your complexion and people go, oh, how did you get that complexion? I've got money. I've been eating good. I've been bathing in Evian. I've been doing. Let's start coming out with random tips.
Okay, who
as
are
to
we
why-
talking about? Are
But
we
people
talking
do
about?
that. No, people do that. That's what he was saying.
No,
That's
no,
what,
it's a comment that he made.
no. That's what
I
he
wanted
was
to
saying.
comment that.
And
Okay,
again,
okay, sorry,
I'm
comment.
going back to that whole Beyonce thing. I think that's why she gets away with it so much. I think because of her fans and a whole whatever thing with her, the star thing with her. I think she's bleached really
Slowly,
well.
gradually.
No, definitely slowly. I think she just did it. You know the whole skin lightening cream.
You think she bleached?
Slowly, gradually.
Bro, go watch. You know Bill's video.
Yeah, from there
Go watch.
till now.
I'll watch Beyonce just like what Ali said. Grow. Go watch Bills video.
No.
Bro, yeah, obviously. Her and Kelly. She was a brown skinned woman.
Yeah.
No one could tell me she was light skinned. She was light brown.
Yeah.
She was still a brown skinned woman. You knew she was black. Yeah, when she first come out.
Still looks black to
But
me.
no. But now she looks
does
light.
look like-
She looks light black though. Like
And
she's
this
fake
whole
light
idea
skin.
of breathing good air and that, I'm not accepting.
She
I just feel
she
like
looks light
lighting
skinned
is
black.
very important.
Nah,
It
she-
is.
no,
You think
it
how
is.
many
It
times
is.
have
On
you
some
taken a
arguments,
picture and
it
you're like,
is.
oh, bro, I look mad dark in that
okay.
picture. Oh, I look
No,
mad
on
dark.
some
but
arguments,
all
I
the
will
time.
accept
You know what I
that
mean?
to
But
say.
then that's what we're going by.
But when
We're
does she
going by-
ever-
have you seen Beyonce up close and personal for you to say this is what she looks
But
like?
does she
what
ever
is
look
the
brown
person
skin now?
that-
But does she
I
ever?
don't really follow her like that.
No,
so I
but
can't
what I'm
really-
trying to say is,
To me, I don't know, innit? Like, if she, the way you lot are describing the drastic lighting.
if you're saying it's
to
the
me-
lighting, if you're saying it's the lighting, how's the lighting changed from the 90s till now? That before in all of her,
No, but
every
everything
time
there is a progression,
No,
even
but
in
what
the
I'm
media
saying
industry.
is, every time I used to see her before, she consistently looked brown skin, and now. If it's lighting, remember lighting, you look like one picture,
You know-
and you look your original complexion. the
You
other,
know what I was
and
saying?
You will change.
You know
Her
what I was
light
saying?
Look, she looks light skinned.
You know what?
Yeah,
you know
but
what I
look,
was saying.
Do you know what? It's hard to say because I haven't followed.
It's just like any other celebrity.
You would have to show me some pictures.
Bro,
consistent
pull it up.
pictures.
You
Wait,
see
coach,
it.
wait.
I'm-
Calm. There's a perfect
I
example.
am doing it.
The reason why I brought this up about having money, Oprah. She's
Oprah's
a
too dark.
no.
What do you mean no?
No, go on. What's he gonna
Oprah
say?
is a perfect example. When she first did her show, watch her show till now. How she was. She was very dark. And now, yeah, it's not she's lighter. Her toned skin has changed.
This is the problem.
No. Oprah
It's the
ain't
same to
Oprah
me.
ain't nothing.
Beyonce was the same to me.
Oprah.
I don't really. I don't know if I agree with that.
You don't.
I mean, you'd have to come with some more.
what pictures-
You'd have to
what
come with
pictures-
some more conclusive evidence than that,
What-
though, to
what
really
pictures
tell
did
me
you
that.
bring?
Because a lot of people,
bleaching.
a lot of people do when they try to tear people down as well. It's like
Yeah,
they
they
will
try to use it
enhance an image to make her look darker, and so this starts to circulate. People start to believe that's the real picture
I
or that's the
can't-
real narrative. But to me, she's always been light skinned. To me, like she looks like
brown
right
to
now.
me. Well, no. I'm talking about old school. No, she was light skinned, but not too light. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, she just, to me, she looked
But
light
that's
brown.
what I'm saying. I personally believe
I thought
lighting is definitely important when you
What would
are
you-
speaking about
What would you classify yourself as?
black.
No, but as in like
I
skin
don't.
complexion.
I call myself black. Like any
it-
division, more division
No,
than
yeah,
that. I don't.
Alright. I know what you're saying. I get that part, but as in, would you call yourself light skin?
No.
That's all I wanted to know. All I'm saying is, when I first saw Beyonce coming out, I would relatively call her around your skin complexion or probably a shade lighter. That's all I'm saying. Now, no. To me, she just looks like she's. Whereas some people,
No,
Picture, what
I think
do you
that's
I
just me.
think we need to move
What-
the conversation off
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Beyonce.
we
The
do.
reason why I say that, okay, yeah, Sarah has shown me a picture, and yeah, she did look light from the beginning. It's hard to say that she didn't.
Now, guys,
So-
the reason why I'm sorry.
I just think we need to move the conversation. The conversation cannot be just about Beyonce. I think the conversation is about colorism in a whole, and we also have to see the impact that has. Because really, when you talk about colorism, it's almost like the people that are of a lighter shade get into more prominent positions. I think for me, really what I like to talk about is the representation of black people by so-called light-skinned people. In the sense that if we're talking about colorism, and sorry, I just need to say here, this whole notion of being rich and your skin tone, no, I totally disagree with that. Sorry. Let me just, you could think, I think that's just, I just totally disagree with that. I'll let you come back.
The reason why I brought that up, this is Oprah now. Now, can you remember how she was when she first started her program?
You have to show me an image of how she looked before.
Can you not remember?
Bruv, her show started in the early 80s.
Yeah, can you not remember how she looked?
The show has gone on for ages.
No, but can you not remember the first time she remembered?
She's relatively the same skin complexion.
Yeah,
No, she's not.
She is.
You guys-
She'd probably be like, bro, a shade of.
So your point is that Oprah has money. You're saying that she hasn't bleached, but it's just because she has money,
Like she looks
she's all of a
healthier.
sudden turned into this
Bruv, a lot of
skin
it could be
color.
the makeup she's
100%.
using.
I'm just
She
looking
look
at this
healthier.
makeup.
Is that what you're
She
saying,
looks
man?
It could be
dark,
the
but
it could be
Yeah,
the makeup.
There's one that
you know what I mean?
Lighter, there's one
From there,
that-
Bro,
I'm not
but
that funny,
bro,
man.
that could just be down to the makeup.
No, I
Definitely
can't
not a
agree with
different
that.
complexion.
No. I think I'm looking
No,
at pictures of
look,
her,
I
and for
think-
me,
I feel like she
I'm looking
we
at
need to
pictures of
separate
her.
this. We need to separate this. The whole notion of you having money and you somehow your skin color becoming a bit more lighter because you having. I think there's two separate things.
No.
you could say to me that Oprah is bleached. That's your opinion.
No, I don't know if she's bleached.
But for you to say to me that Oprah's skin color has just changed because of her social class,
Do you
now,
know?
is something that
Do you know money is a huge impact in our lives? You do know that.
Do you understand what you're saying? What you're saying is the whole stereotypical view that people associate with skin color.
That's
This is
what
the
I
whole
feel
thing
like-
of the
that's what I'm
colorism.
starting
Because
to
what
think.
you're
That's
saying
what
is
it
to
is.
say that the closer you are to money, it's like the whole
You're-
white.
you're-
Who
I think
controls
you're
money in
thinking
this
that,
in this world? It's in the white hands. Even when you're talking about Africa, the World Bank cripples it because they borrow so much from Africa that they dictate to Africa what needs to happen. So when you're talking about you having some sort of social class,
Yeah.
and because you have that social class, your skin color changing, it's almost to say that if everyone is rich, then we're all going to be liar. That's what you're saying.
I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying that to
There's
that degree,
dark-skinned
but have you not
women.
No, but
noticed
then
that?
what you're saying
But
then,
have you
I
not
don't understand.
noticed that's what
I have not
mainly
noticed
has
that.
that?
Oh.
I have not noticed
Because
that. That's what I'm
in
saying.
China, they deliberately take this tone. There's this texture that they use, and they put in the skin to make them pale white, pale white, like the whiteboard.
Yeah,
They
but
do that deliberately.
Yeah, but
No,
you're
but
not.
you're talking about
Yeah,
what?
that's different because
That
we're not
was-
linking that to
But
money.
most of them
looking
have
at
money.
Okay, well, put that to one
I-
side. Because what we're saying is you can't. Okay.
No.
No, what I was saying,
Ali, look,
what I was saying,
money
Ali,
ain't
you
gonna
can't
change
generalize. You can't generalize.
I'm not
based on
generalizing.
one
What I'm
person.
saying, money has a great impact of what people behave and how they want to behave in their lives
That's
and what
true.
they do.
But what's
That's
that got to do
true.
with the skin color?
Because what they do, they move themselves. They feel that because they have money. Perfect example: Michael Jackson.
Bro,
Michael Jackson,
you're
please,
bringing
like,
extreme,
bringing Michael Jackson into this, 'cause-
extreme examples, bro. And the worst thing about it is, you're talking about millionaires you know in a lot. How many millionaires do you know day to day?
That's what I'm saying. You generalize it.
What you're saying ain't gonna be able to relate in
Plus,
a
apparently
logical sense.
Michael
Do you get what
Jackson
I'm
had
saying?
vitiligo.
You don't know. That's what I'm saying. You're talking about
exactly. It's been done.
Apparently,
Yeah.
he had vitiligo.
That's what he says.
You're
so-
talking about extreme cases.
And it's a real life issue.
If
There
you-
are black people that have vitiligo. that they're skin.
Like if you said to me, yeah, I've got 10 millionaire friends, and I
Yeah.
know that they were dark skinned, and now that
They're
they're brown
light
skinned,
skin because of
like
the-
bro, then I could be like, yeah, cool.
What are you
Yeah,
talking
but
about?
you get what I'm saying? Then I'll be like, yeah, cool. But then
I'll
now,
still ask the
money
question
don't
though. I
really
need to
be-
see what cream they use.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Bro,
Because
money-
what it's Caroline
money-
and it's 100 and something pounds
Trust
doesn't
me,
mean it's not skin.
I don't
bleaching
want to be hearing, I've been living in like so and so, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean, all year round, this and that. It's because I'm just doing jet skis and sitting in Maybachs, and that's why all of a sudden, like, no, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. Like, there's dark skinned millionaires. Like it doesn't like
He's
it's not gonna make you. All it's gonna do is like glow up your skin.
Yeah.
Your skin's gonna
Just
glow.
feed a black person, a really dark person, feed them good food, put them in air conditioning, leave them in a room, don't let them come out here. And all of a sudden they turn pale. But let's talk about skin bleaching though, because it's a big thing. Because literally, I say this because within our communities, there's people close to me that still bleach their skin. And I asked the question, I've never, and this is why I say, when you talk about ignorance, but it's like sometimes people that are going through something, they never take time to actually sit down and ask themselves the question of why am I doing this? Why am I continuously trying to get my skin? You could clearly see that they bleach. You check, you can see that their knuckles are all dark, their toes are all dark and stuff like that.
People ain't ready for that kind of conversation themselves. I've noticed that. Do you know what it is? It's to tap into that level of consciousness. I've noticed that it scares a lot of people. Like just generally when you speak to people,
It scares them because they don't accept themselves for
they
who
no,
they
they,
are.
they, no,
That's
it's
the
not
key
even,
point.
they don't, and plus they're not strong enough to. Do you get what I mean? Like just character-wise, you have to be strong enough to critique yourself and critique like even just your upbringing. Because what it is you have to have real enough conversations to be like, all right, why has it got to this point where I am bleaching myself? What happened in my past? Do you get what I'm saying? What did my mum say to me? What did my, you know what I mean, parents say to me that made me not love myself? It's these kind of things you have to be real with yourself, where people are scared to be like, yeah, I don't really want to have that kind of conversation myself. I don't really want to. What I could do right now is carry on slapping this tub of bleach on me and go outside and feel better about myself.
You know what?
Because that's what it is. They just mask it. It's just a masking tool, really, for their problem. Do you get what I'm saying?
I just think it's just what people think is beauty. Like,
Yes, that's
if
what I was about to
you
do, so.
think a fairer skinned
Yeah,
person is
yeah.
your standard of beauty,
Yeah.
that's what you're gonna want to achieve.
Yeah.
So it's really about like giving your kids like the role models that you want them to kind of look up to. So the ones that are positive about their skin color, about their features, and are unapologetically proud of it.
Yeah.
And so those are the type of things you need to introduce in order to combat it. Because everywhere you turn, in the music videos, in the song, everywhere you turn, they are glorifying one particular demographic of female.
It's,
Like, I don't think it's necessarily the same way for men, because I feel like men, regardless of what shade they are, they will get like, for more races, isn't it? Whereas black women, like, granted, there's other races that will be attracted to you, but majority of them, you're attracted to black men, innit? So when your black men don't want you, it's like, what are they going for? So then it's like, okay, so that's what they're going for. Let me try and achieve that in order for me to get what I want.
That's what I think the issue is in the community now.
Yeah, but then the issue then stems to the black men then, because it's like
no, but that's where it's dangerous.
Not that the issue. No. What I wanted to say is that it's a bigger conversation than just because. It's almost like the carrot and the stick, or it's almost like a vicious circle, right? Because
chicken and the egg.
Chicken and the egg type of thing, innit? It's almost like women are behaving like that because they can see that in societies that they live in, this is what the men are attracted to. That's what's more desirable. But then the women are also have to have a checkpoint to say that there are also men out there that do like dark skinned women.
But it's that.
So it's a bit more of like
in
But
those.
it's what you like, isn't it? You don't like the guys that want like dark skinned boys, isn't it? Like, you tend to want what you can't have, and that's the problem. Do you know what I mean? Because like, if they're definitely, I'm sure that black men marry women like by a country mile. Like, if we were looking at the statistics across the population of the world, but if you're living in a city like this, you would never believe it. Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody that is seen is on a pedestal or seen to be, you know, the socially elite amongst us, they tend to be with a particular type of person. So it's like, okay, so he don't want me, so let me go for this guy because he wants me. But it's like preference once again, isn't it?
You say we're
preference
for
once
less,
again.
Okay.
He's like, it's not that you're settling for less, but then, I don't know about you, but with relationships, attraction is very important.
No, it is.
Do you know what I mean? So
it is settling, and let's be real, women settle a lot more than men.
definitely.
That's all it is. Like, it is. If you're going to put it in that example, that would, because your preference was the first guy. But women are just smarter in the sense of they know what's good for me. So I'll just go for that person that loves me. Do you get what I'm saying? Because that other person.
there's a danger to this though, because this bleaching can really damage you.
Yeah.
It can. This is the great effects people don't understand, because they're using a certain chemicals that is not supposed to be used, and obviously the government now is tapping into that and will look into ban it as well. And instinctively, people are just, for example, as what culture raised, and I'm going to raise that as well, is that I've got surrounding on my family as well, people that I do know they do bleach, and the way the skin peel, and the thing about bleaching as well, if you don't have the money, consistency, if you're not doing it consistency, and but
there's no stop and start. You can't do it for 1 month.
You know what I mean? If you don't do it,
It's an investment.
if you don't do it and you don't have the money, it will damage you, and your skin looks so terrible, and then it makes you look like as if you're paling and you are sick, and you're probably got like a disease. And what happens here?
You're raw.
Yeah, you're raw. Yeah,
and then the funny, the other side of it as well, the great side effects of it as well. When you're bleached, there's certain times you can't come out.
Is it?
You cannot come out.
Yeah,
you can't come out. You can't, because if you do, it affects you even more. So sometimes you have to stay in the aircon. You have to stay in the aircon and do all of it and stay. And once you feel like you're fully engaged, everything is done, then you can come out. And when you do come out, you can't come out during the day. You have to come out during the evening. That's why if you see like Middle Eastern, like when I was in Dubai, for example, those people do not come out during the day because it's so hot. It's like 32, 40 degrees. You cannot come out because it affects you. your skin.
But is that because they're bleaching? Or
I don't know, but they are
I
the
feel
skin
like
color.
that's the lack of melanin.
Yeah, that skin color as well. Because when you bleach, you're not having enough melanin into your system and all of that. So it's
destroying the melanin.
Yeah, you are destroying it. So that's another side effect. There's a good effect.
So that's it, guys. You want to hear the rest of the debate? Look out for part 2.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.